Welcome back to another episode of Soul Plus Systems. I'm your host, Jenn Fix. Around here, we talk about what it really takes to build something meaningful, not just online, but in life and business. Today's guest is someone whose work immediately caught my attention because it aligns with something that I believe deeply. You can have the best business strategy in the world, with the best website and the best offer and the best systems. But if your communication breaks down, everything else starts breaking down too. Joining me today is a communication expert, author, retired military veteran, and creator of Shift Happens, Dr. Renea Skelton. Renee, welcome to Soul Plus Systems.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get into communication, who is Renee outside the business? What lights you up?
Ooh, that's a really deep question. What lights me up? Everything lights me up. Just being here. I've been through a lot in my life. Just literally being here and having the opportunity to love and learn. That is it. I don't make things too difficult.
Awesome. I hear you there. Simplify everything. Now, I read that you spent 22 years in the military. First off, thank you so much for your service.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Now, can you take us back? What did that chapter teach you about people?
So I joined at 17 years old and super young, had no idea what I was going to do with my life, and tried to escape a lot of trauma in my childhood. So I joined the military to get rid of, just to escape all of that. And it taught me a lot. I've seen a lot, like I said, I've seen a lot of trauma in my childhood, but I saw it in the military as well. And I had to learn how to fight. I had to learn how to be that voice. I went from enlisted. I did 12 and a half years enlisted, and then I became an officer, and I did 10 years as being an officer. So that whole dynamic changed from once being a follower, then automatically you're a leader, and you're leading your peer group. You always hear that cliche of fight for a seat at that table. You always hear that. And I'm like, I had to fight hard at times. And there was a lot of mean girl behavior. So I had to learn how to communicate that way. I eventually ended up, though, retiring out of the Air Force Academy. I taught there, and I taught at the Center for Character and Leadership Development. So I taught behavioral sciences, I taught personality, I taught communication. I got a lot of certifications there, but I loved the people. And what I learned throughout that entire experience is that we're all here doing the same thing, trying to survive. And it's like, how kind are you going to be? How many assumptions are you going to go through life with? So yeah, I fell in love. I fell in love with the people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For me, kindness is a daily, my first thoughts in the morning is who can I be kind to? So I definitely resonate with you there. You've also talked openly about surviving a brain tumor. And how did that experience completely change the way that you communicate?
Ooh. So I became sick while in the military. I just did not know that's what it was. And then I ended up getting super sick after I retired and came back to Texas. I had a botched surgery in Texas, and it pretty much was killing me. And I was laying in bed and I was like, I can't do this anymore. There's no way I can do this. I could see how that darkness just envelops you, but I was still coaching. I had over 85 clients, but I was still showing up for them daily. But I always say that I was in a point in my life where I was setting myself on fire to keep everybody else warm. And it cost me. It cost me a lot. And then once I started really taking care of myself, because you always hear the body takes a toll. It's so true. It will come out in different ways. Mine was a tumor, and I don't take life so seriously. You always hear that, oh, life's too short and all these other cliche things. But literally, I saw it. I'd been through it. I met death. And I know that sounds so wow, but literally I met death. And we make life so damn hard. We make it too hard. We make it hard on each other. We make it hard. People make it hard for us. And it's crazy. Life should not be this difficult. It's not. And so it really opened up my eyes to figure out what are my values in life, what lights me up, what brings me joy, and only align myself with that.
Yeah, that's definitely a mindset shift. Realizing that you were people pleasing and overfilling of cups that didn't return, and to taking that self realization and being able to find the strength within yourself to understand that whole process, to grow and to nurture that within yourself.
Yeah.
And now to be able to speak from that light and that calling within you, because you're right. Once you see something, you just can't unsee it. I love something that you wrote. You said people don't actually need better words. They need to stop doing the thing that's making communication worse. What does that mean?
Oh, okay. So my big thing is when we communicate as humans, and I'm talking about from elementary all the way to geriatric, right? When we talk to anybody, when we communicate with them, we typically come from a place of assumption where it's like all of a sudden we had a past experience. So we think this person's going to be like this, or they did this once to me. So they're going to keep doing it to me. It's more times it's not like that. Yes, you're going to have your outliers and things like that based on certain patterns and behaviors. But I always say, get curious. Whenever you're in doubt, get curious, ask a question, not with armor behind you or ammunition, but literally get curious and ask them, what do you mean by that? Yeah. Or is this what you mean? That's it. Because 9 out of 10 times, it's something that you totally didn't even think of.
Perspective changes everything. Perspective is absolutely everything. And if you have more than three people in a conversation, you have three different perspectives. And the self realization for me personally has been that to ever be in an argument really just means that you don't feel like you're being heard. So
There's a lot. Yep.
I do love the title of your book, Drop the Rope.
Yeah.
Where did that phrase come from?
So when I was coaching my clients, and I coached all genders, all walks of life, and I would always come back to, they would always have this tug of war when they're communicating with somebody. It was a tit for tat, or it was like, you did this, I do this. You hear it all the time. The mean girl behavior, the just a ton of things. And I just kept saying over and over, think of it like a rope, like you're playing tug of war, drop the rope. And they were like, and so they would literally picture in their mind a rope and then they would literally drop it. Now, here's the thing with drop the rope though. It's not, okay, I give up, you win, I lose. It's not that. It's the element of saying certain things before you drop the rope. So you set the boundary to be like, we're on the same level. I'm not beneath you. I'm going to protect my peace. So I'm dropping the rope. You do, because when the other person is holding the rope in their hands, they are accountable for what happens next because they're the ones holding the rope. And not a lot of people like to hold the rope. When you're arguing with somebody and they're holding the other side of the rope and you try to drop the rope, they're going to be like, you're trying to give you back the rope because it feels icky to them. So I give you communication phrases and things like that to be like, the rope's yours. Have fun with it because it's not mine to own.
That's massively shifting for a lot of people, including myself. Just even having that self realization and knowing that there's other people that have the perspective that you do. So many people are just toxic or have toxic learned behaviors and traumas that they carry on to their next
Yeah,
relationships. And it's overwhelming sometimes to be the partner that always wants to be the one that fixes things. And
exactly.
I totally get it. What's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to defend themselves?
The biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes would be they have to feel they listen to react versus to understand. You probably have been in an argument where, and I've been in too, we all have, where we're trying to get our point across the other person and we're already formulating a response in our head because we know that's not right. Or we picked up on certain words that they've used that are trigger words or whatever, right? Based on what you talked about, learned behaviors or preconceived notions or upbringing, whatever it may be. And we capitalize on those words and we don't listen to anything else. And then now we're playing that tug of war back and forth because all we want to do is to be understood, to be heard. But I'm going to say something that's probably a little controversial, but we always hear empathy. I'm trying to come from a place of empathy. I really, truly believe a lot of people have that word so wrong. They're like, walk a mile in my shoes. I'm never going to understand what your life's, I'm never going to wear your shoes because A, they don't fit me. B, they may not be my style. I wish people would quit saying that and just be like, look, you're going through some rough stuff right now. That sucks. I'm here if you need me. That's it. Just
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's their responsibility. It's their baggage to hold. I think
yes.
that's one of the biggest things that I had to learn, that mindset shift from being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Because I felt like everybody else's drama was mine too. And I lived
Yep.
in that chaos and that spiral for so long. I was just like, my
Yeah.
peace is more important than any kind of spiral or chaos for anybody else.
There you go. Yep. Say it again because that is super important. I wish, but it's hard for a lot of people because this is another thing that's going to be like, ooh, it hits hard for some people maybe hearing this. I think a lot of people who are people pleasers, I know because I'm a self recovering one, I still fall back into it because I'm human, but we want to be relevant. We want to be needed. We want to be relevant. Because if we scratch and sniff and figure out who we truly are, some of us still don't know. And that's another podcast because I think everybody knows who they are. They just don't know who they are at a certain level. But yeah,
Yeah, the depth for me, myself personally, I can't speak for everybody else, but I can speak for myself, that I know, like, especially during like COVID, like the first initial times of it and everything, where everybody's at home and everything like that. Like, I took a lot of time to myself and I was alone a lot. So during those moments for me, it was like really a pivotal moment for me, because I was very successful with what I was doing at the time with my digital media agency in the group that I have, Rainbow Pride. And I had 3 separate commercials out at the time. So all the
wow.
notoriety, all the fame, everything was starting to hit at one time. And it was like overwhelming. And I had no idea how to even handle that level of success. Ultimately, I went away. I just stopped with social media for a few years, but that's beside the point. The main point being is that I took a lot of time during that time to remind myself why it is that I check in with people, why I believe that kindness and showing people the light and being able to help somebody else. You're right. I may not be able to understand someone's exact journey. None of us can. But instead of taking like trauma bonding and saying, oh, yeah, we're in the same boat. Yeah, we feel the same. No, having your individual experience and being able to share from that moment and learn from other people's experiences, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and that is the getting curious. That is it. Just being intentional and being curious. Not trying to be a hero and solve their whole world for them. Just sit with them and go, wow, this must suck. Let's talk about it. That's
Let's talk about that moment, just to have that life changing moment instead of spiraling and having that chaos in their life, and being able to step back and go, you know what? Draw that line in the sand with that people pleasing crap and let that go
yes.
and take that step back. How does somebody recognize themselves that in that moment where they go, wow, I'm people pleasing? Maybe I need to take a moment to step back.
I think the biggest question is who is this for? Who is this for? If you're going to help somebody, that's great. You're probably a very great caregiver. There's people pleasing has different levels, just like with anything else. If you're helping people, you're helping people. But if it's costing you something, you have to ask, what is this costing me? Because I always say behind every success, there is a sacrifice. Always. Any kind of success you have in life, there is always a sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? Then you ask, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for likes? Am I doing this for one voice or for one person to hear my story? Am I doing this to be me? That's a whole different, you see the different levels right there. And there's no right or wrong because those are that person's values. Those are our values. We can't argue those, even though we think it's morally incorrect. It's not for us to decide. It's for that person. And then, and I do this for my children a lot, I always say when you are at a crossroads in life and you don't know what to do, you have to make a decision, you're about to react a certain way, or you want to go off on somebody, or you want to block them, whatever it may be. Ask yourself this one question. Would the person I claim to be do what I'm about to do? Would the person I claim to be do what I'm about to do? And then you'll know your answer if you need to proceed with it or not.
Absolutely. That what you just said is exactly the way that I live my life now, because for so long, due to the things that I've gone through in my past, I was reactive. I would react to things and be angry or say how I felt in the moment. And I'm a Libra. So I'm all about the scales of justice. So once you get a Libra to that point, we're just like, okay, we're going to tell you how we feel now.
Exactly. I
So
so
yeah,
yeah.
so it's like I get to that point and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, stop.
Yeah.
And I
Because it's
have to
almost
hold
like
myself.
how much power are you willing to give somebody else? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I have to have the bandwidth to do the podcast, to do the shorts, to do everything I do in my daily life. It's like I can't be giving my bandwidth away. So, yeah,
Right.
I absolutely understand.
There's that sacrifice. Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, because I definitely have been on my own journey for a while, and it's hard for me to let people in anymore because it's what are your intentions?
Exactly. Exactly. But you know what? I just had this conversation with somebody earlier, or actually yesterday, because they are quick to be like, I'm not your friend. I'm going to block you. Not to me, to somebody else. And I'm like, to me, that is, I'm not on a high horse or anything like that. But blocking is such a foreign thing to me. I don't even know how to block somebody. I'm just like, because to me, I live in this whole big world of so many different personalities and genders and beliefs and all of this. And I love it because I'm like, I get so curious and I want to learn. Do you know what I mean? And I love that. And just because you don't align with what I believe in this moment doesn't mean I'm going to block you. I'm like, we're here to love and learn. I would not be practicing what I preach if that was the case.
Amen. Amen. Hey, this show is called Soul Plus Systems, and most of our audience are entrepreneurs. How does poor communication quietly destroy businesses?
Oof, leading when leaders and actually anybody, if you're human, leading in a place of assumption versus curiosity, not understanding where people are coming from, not understanding their personalities. Now, I'm a personality expert and I use that with my communications. What I do is if you going back to your question, understanding what drives and motivates your people, and not just in the sense of, oh, I love this and I love that. You need to know their personality because a lot of rules and procedures, a lot of people don't like. Some people don't want to be put in a box. They like variety, which is the opposite. Some people do, one of their biggest stressors in life is looking and feeling incompetent. And other people, it's, I need accolades and words of affirmation. So if you can understand who they are and what motivates and drives them, your communication style, it can land every way. You can tell somebody they're fired in 4 different ways and they will get it and they will be okay with it. So and I always tell, but when I go into organizations, I always ask the leaders, and this is applicable in business, it's applicable at home, this is applicable in your relationships, whatever. I always say, ask this one question. What do you need from me as your boss? What do you need from me as your coworker? What do you need from me as your parent, as your partner? Whatever it may be. I did not say want, I said need. And then the person will look at you kind of like you're weird. And they're like, and then they're going to answer you. Now, here's the crazy thing. When they answer you, they're probably going to give you the answer that they think you want to hear. So what you need to do is you need to validate them. The first thing you need to do to that person is validate. Okay, so you need me to be there more often, or you need me to check in on you. Got it. Then this is the most powerful 2-word question after. What else? When you ask what else, they are going to give you a better answer, a more personal, real answer to them, because you just set the stage, you set the precedence that it's safe to talk about it, that you actually are curious. And now you can meet them where they're at. It's
Yeah,
that.
that's exactly what green flags honestly look like in a healthy relationship, whether it's business or across the board. So now you mentioned trying to be liked instead of being clear. I think that's something a lot of business owners struggle with. Can you unpack that? You mentioned trying to be liked.
Like,
A lot of people want to be liked, like the whole people pleasing thing.
yes.
Instead of being clear, they don't have the ability to be clear, like you said, like you were just mentioning.
Yeah. So it goes back to what is the outcome? Like I said, we all want to be relevant because we're human. We all want to belong. We get that. Even Curmudgeon Carl that lives underneath the bridge still wants people around him every now and then. But here's the thing. You got that relevance that you are seeking is coming at a cost. It is coming at a cost, and that's a scary cost because it's not an authentic cost at times. Why do people like you? Do you even like yourself? Do you know what I mean? These are the things that you have to get back. And so getting clear on your values is super important. Now, I know that's saturated as well in the business world and then in coaching and consulting, but I always say, what are your values in life? I am not the type of coach that's going to say, here's a list, circle your best values. I don't do that. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't do it. I say, if you don't know what you value in life, think about where you spend the most time and the most money. That's what you value. There's no right or wrong. It's your value. Where do you spend the most time and the most money? Then you have to ask yourself why. Then when you get clear with that, then you can start making those decisions. And then you set the precedence as a human, as a business person, as a partner, as a parent. You set the precedence that these are my perimeters. This is what you're going to get with me because this is who I am. And remember, what the person I claim to be, do what I'm about to do.
Absolutely. Accountability.
Yeah.
I know for me, like you're speaking about accountability, for me, a couple of things stand out for me. One thing, I get up every day and make my bed. It's that routine, it's that pattern for me, it's those small wins.
Yeah.
And secondly, the most important thing for me is standing in the mirror and actually having a conversation with myself daily to remind myself that I am needed, I am wanted, that I come from the
Love all
place of
this.
kindness and love.
Yes.
So for me, those things are what gets me up every single day and keeps me pushing every single day.
I would say if I could have one little nugget besides the others, something that's not, I didn't repeat. Replace your should with could. Take should out of your vocabulary. We should on ourselves all the time. People should on us. SHOULD. Because should is an expectation, could is an opportunity. You can do stuff. You could do this. But when we should on ourselves, we set the expectations that we are not worthy of something or that we are not up to standards about something or we're not where we need to be. And that's that expectation.
A lot of people do feel unworthy, even in the
Mhm.
coaching world. People are saying that they're gurus and this and that or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's, where are your receipts?
Exactly.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying about the whole liking thing, for me, that goes down to the dopamine hits because I'm into the adrenaline shorts on YouTube. So,
Really?
yeah,
God.
that's what Neon Income AI, my main engine is
Okay.
adrenaline shorts. So,
Yeah.
that's why I say they scroll and operators build.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting because I was already assessing your personality just the first 5 minutes we got on here. I'm like, oh, I know what color Jenn is. Yeah, love it.
All right, we'll get back to that. If somebody connected with today's conversation, where can they find you? Pick up your book and subscribe to Shift Happens.
Yes, it's all on my website. It's reneaskelton.com. And of course, it's a weird spelling, but it's RENEASKELTON.com.
Perfect. Renee, thank you so much for joining me today. I love conversations that people can immediately apply in their own lives. And I think that's exactly what this episode delivered. If today's conversation helped you, make sure to share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Soul Plus Systems on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep building your systems, protect your peace, and remember, the strongest businesses are built by people who are willing to grow themselves first. I'll see you in the next episode.